Good evening and welcome to the Tuesday, December 12th, 2023 meeting of the Azusa Unified School District Board of Education. The time is now 5:30 and the meeting is called to order. Moving to item 1.2, roll call. Board Vice President Rodriguez Peña.
Present.
Board Clerk Gabriela Arianes.
Here.
Board Member Sandra Benavides.
Here.
And Board Member Adrian Greer is expected any moment. Board President Bo is also here. Moving to item 1.3, approval of the agenda. May I have a motion?
Motion to approve. Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. Would you like to do a hand vote? I will take a roll call vote. Board Vice President?
Yes.
Board Clerk?
Yes.
Board Member Benavides? Yes. Board President Bo is yes. And the motion passes 4 yes to 1 absent. Now moving to item 1.4. May I have a motion?
Motion to approve. Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. A hand vote. So we'll take a hand vote for 1.4. Board Vice President Rodriguez Peña.
Yes.
Board Clerk Arianes.
Yes.
Board Member Benavides. I vote yes. The motion passes 4 yes to 1 absent. Moving to item 1.5. May I have a motion?
I'm sorry, can I have a discussion on that?
Yes, ma'am.
Were you going to read what the motion was? What are we motioning? Point of order.
Yes,
Sorry.
all right. Sorry. So item 1.4 is election of Board Vice President Yolanda Rodriguez Peña to Board President. Who made the original motion for 1.4? Sandra.
Board Member Benavides.
Board Member Benavides. Sorry, what is your motion? Well, it is motion to approve or election, so. So do I need to read it out if it's an action item?
Yes.
On this item? Okay. So, Board Member Benavides, if you would restate your motion for item 1.4 for the record.
Board Vice President Yolanda Rodriguez Peña to Board President for 2023-24.
And the original second was whom?
Myself. Board Member Arianes.
Do you second?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And now seeing no discussion the first time, I'm assuming there's no discussion the second, we will vote. And now can we vote online? All right. Thank you so much. And I am seeing on our screen, the motion passes 4 yes to 1 absent. Thank you. Now moving to item 1.5, this is election of Board Clerk Gabriela Arianes to Board Vice President for 23-24. May I have a motion?
Make a motion to approve 1.5.
And is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. And the motion passes 4 yes to 1 absent. Now moving to item 1.6, election of Board Member Adrian Greer to Board Clerk for 23-24. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve 1.6.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Is there any discussion?
Yes, I have a discussion. I think that we should wait to Mr. Greer to see if he accepts. And he's not here right now.
Okay, so we'll postpone this item until Mr. Greer arrives?
Yes, please.
All right. then noting that, we'll move to well, then with that, should we wait for, I think perhaps we should then
Yeah,
wait
here
for
it is.
items
He's right here.
1.7 and 8. Good evening, Board Member Greer. Your presence is required for this item. All right, so on the table, we're on item 1.6, election of Board Member Adrian Greer to Board Clerk for 23-24. The item has been moved and seconded, and we are now in discussion.
Yes, I have a comment. I would actually choose to decline stepping into this office at this time. And just in reference to what I've communicated in the past about me continuing on in on the board, but uncertain of my ability to continue on for a full term. And so because of that, I believe it would be inappropriate for me to step into one of the offices.
So, Board Vice President Rodriguez Pena, did you make the original motion? Would you like to amend your motion?
Yes, I would amend my motion, but,
Alternatively,
yeah,
we can,
do I select the alternate? So then I'd like to amend my motion to elect Board Member Sandra Benavides as Board Clerk for 2023-24 school year.
and is there a second?
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded. Any,
I just have a discussion, please. I just want to thank Mr. Greer for being honest. I appreciate that.
Sure.
Thank you.
any further discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote.
Board Member Arias or Board Vice President Arias.
I could do a hand, but it says I'm not added. Oh. There it is.
And the motion passes unanimously. Now moving to item 1.7. We need to elect a board member for seat number 1, given that Board Member Benavides is now going to be serving as board clerk.
I would like to amend the agenda item to Board Member Adrian Greer for Board Member seat number 1 for 2023-24.
Second.
And just a couple comments. I'm just for the record, I'm comfortable with that. I'm also comfortable with seat 2. If so, I guess we should consider precedent. If somebody declines, does that put them then at the kind of at the back, or does it put them in line? And then next year, do I consider that then? Or so I am comfortable with being in seat 1, but just for the sake of precedent, it may be something for us to consider in the future.
Yeah. Past precedent, I declined, if you recall, and I still became.
That's true. Yeah.
Right.
Okay, that's fair.
Okay, so there's a motion on the table with a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote.
Just for the record, in our notes, it's gonna, in the agenda, it's gonna say the difference. Okay, thank you.
And the motion passes 4 yes to 1 abstention. Now moving to item 1.8, election of Board President Sabrina Bo to Board Member seat 2 for 23-24. May I have a motion?
Motion to approve 1.8.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote.
I do have a,
Oh,
I
go
just
ahead.
want to thank you for your service as president this past year.
Thank you so much. And I'll call for the vote. and the item passes unanimously. We'll now, we'll now move to item 2.1, public comment on closed session agenda items. Hope, are there any members of the public here in person? No blue cards. And Lika, is there anyone online who wishes to make public comment on a closed session agenda item?
We have no hands raised on Zoom.
Thank you so much. The time is now 5:40 and we'll adjourn to closed session. We'll come back to open session at 7 p.m. Thank you.
The live stream has started.
Good evening, Azusa community and students and staff to our open at a regular board meeting at 7 p.m. We are going on our first item, 4.1, the Pledge of Allegiance by J. Lee Pye from Magnolia Elementary, 5th grade student.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the board meeting. My name is JD Pai. I am the student council president at Magnolia, and I will be leading the flag salute. Please stand. Face the flag. Put your right hand over your heart. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated.
Thank you, J. Lee. That was nice. We are on item 5.0, report action of closed session matters. There's no action was taken at this time. We are on item 6.0, recognition and awards. 6.1, recognition of 8th Azusa Unified School District students who won the annual Educational Service Gratitude Art Award. Ms.
All right, good evening, Board President Rodriguez Peña, Board of Education, Cabinet, and members of our audience and community. My name is Krista Fairley, in this mask, excuse me, and I am the Director of Multilingual and Categorical Programs here in Azusa. Tonight, I have the honor of presenting to you our 8 winners of our 2nd annual Education Services Gratitude Contest. So why did we choose gratitude? Well, the research on gratitude is so very clear. Enacting and expressing gratitude eliminates stress, yields positivity, optimism, and strengthens relationships both professionally and personally. And in these months of celebration with families and friends, Ed Services wanted to be able to express gratitude within our district. So our students here in Azusa had the opportunity to share artwork that represented gratitude with the slogan of, "I am grateful for you" in any language. The winner's art was turned into gratitude cards so that district employees could express their gratitude to one another. Again, when we express our gratitude to others, not only do we feel more grateful, but our professional relationships are strengthened. Gratitude begets gratitude. So each member of the board, you have a packet of gratitude cards in front of you that our students made. I would like to give a special shout out to Mr. Jim Higg from Azusa High, who always seeks me out for this gratitude opportunity, and 4 of his students won. So I'm now going to ask the students to join me up here as I turn it back to Board President Rodriguez Peña to present this award to our students. Kiddos, you want to come up here and then she'll call you up.
Yeah, and actually, if we have each of the award recipients to come forward, and I do have a certificate. I will read one of them that we have for each recipient, and it says that the Azusa Unified School District Certificate of Recognition is proudly presented to each recipient for participating and placing in the 2023-2024 Educational Services Gratitude Art Contest, dated December 12th, 2023, and signed by Superintendent Arturo Ortega and Board President Yolanda Rodriguez Peña. So we would love to have you come forward and receive these certificates, and we'd love to take some photos.
Excuse me, board member. We'd like to know if you have any comments, my colleagues.
I would like to just share that it just touched my heart. They're so genuine and so beautiful, from the drawings to the pictures. And so one of the things, being grateful brings the stress down, and being able to, Mr. Haig, there you are. Thank you for bringing this, because it really does provide a tool for our students, right? In their toolbox. So when they're stressed, you know what? Be grateful for something, right? So thank you, students, for participating, and what a great job. Thank you.
Any other comments from my colleagues?
Yes, I would like to just acknowledge the students and the teacher who put this together. And as I'm looking at these, when I first saw it and I sat down, I thought, wow, it just made an impression on me, because I think we all need to be grateful every day just to wake up, right? But when you get something like this from the students who really put thought and heart into it, and with the instructions of the teachers and things like that, it just gives it more meaning. So I appreciate you too, and I'm grateful for everyone here and our students and our teachers. Thank you.
And I would like to also thank the students. Maybe I have the most special one, but I'll read it. I'm grateful for you. Estoy orgullosa para ti. This is really beautiful, and I want to thank you, students. If you'd like to come up and take a picture.
President, excuse me, can we know who is which one? Would that be okay, President, Rodriguez
Peña?
Peña? Right, like Alexis, 11th grade? I would like to, give Alexis a round of applause. Is Alexis
Is
here?
Alexis here?
Okay, well, let's give her a round of applause.
Okay.
Haley, first grade. Haley, where are you at? Can you wave to us? Aw. The next one we have Aaron, 12th grade. Aaron? Are those one of your shoes? Yeah, which one? The one at the very bottom. Okay, and then we have Emily, first grade. Emily. We have Emilio, first grade. Emilio. Next, we have Laura, 9th grade. Madison, 3rd grade. And the one that was the favorite of a president board member, Rodriguez Peña, we have David, 9th grade. Thank you.
If we can come to the center of the room and take a picture, please, my colleagues. We are now on item 6.2, recognition of 3 Azusa Unified School District employees. Um,
It's me
you
again.
beat me to the punch. I didn't call your name yet.
Good evening again, Board President Rodriguez Peña, Board of Education, Cabinet, and again, members of our community. I'm so lucky to present to you twice tonight. As the multilingual director, part of my work is to support the systems and structures that ensure equitable services and access for our English learners. Through my work here in Azusa, I've had the privilege to get to know and work with the 3 following teachers, and I'll have them join me up here. Their passion for English learners and for equitable opportunities and outcomes is admirable. Their expertise and advocacy has helped me to learn so much as well. Sorry, please let me introduce Angie Wright, Lorena Ellis, and Lene Jimenez as they tell you a bit about their work as Teach Plus Policy Fellows. These teachers took the initiative to apply and got involved in work that's changing the outcome for our students. Teach Plus is a national teacher leadership organization which has launched 3 new cohorts of educators from across the state to create and advocate for change at all levels of the California system. And how lucky are we to have 3 here in Azusa? Lorena Ellis is a program. She's one of our program specialists from Gladstone Middle School and is in her 2nd year as a California Senior Policy Fellow. Angie Wright, a teacher on special assignment, is also a California Policy Fellow. They are working with a group that is focusing on supporting emerging bilingual students by researching policy that exists and advocating for our students. Right now, they are in the research phase, and this study will guide their next steps. Ms. Wright is also in her 3rd year as an emerging bilingual change agent mobilizer, working to bring the English learner roadmap to life through impact stories and narrative changes. And finally, we have Lene Harper Jimenez from Azusa High School. I know both Norma and I sent her this opportunity and Lene jumped on it. Ms. Jimenez Teach Plus project focuses on engaging our newcomer students in Azusa Unified, again, using the EL roadmap with a focus on understanding students' unique experiences and their assets. Ms. Jimenez project is supporting teachers who identify their newcomer students and understanding their individual language and learning needs. Board President, I turn these amazing women over to you for your next words.
Do we have any comments from my colleagues?
You said something earlier, that 3 of these positions that could be taken by anybody in California, right? And 3 of them are from our district. Let's give them another round of applause. I've had the pleasure to work with 2 of them at Magnolia. And so I know how dedicated they are to our students and them continuing to show their dedication to our students. So I want to thank you both. And for, I'm so sorry, I don't remember your name in the middle.
Lenny.
Ms.
Ma-
Menace, thank you again for joining, this amazing team of teachers here in Azusa, because we do have great teachers here in Azusa. So again, congratulations, and I'm super proud of you. Thank you.
Any other comments from my colleagues? So I want to congratulate you all. I've seen you all in action, and I'm glad that you're here at Azusa Unified School District. Thank you for your service. Board Member Benavides, sorry.
Yeah, I just want to take this opportunity to also say thank you for embracing, what you do and putting your heart and passion into it to give back to our students. Thank you and congratulations.
If you would like to come in the center here, take a picture of my colleague. Oh, Board Member Bo has your certificates.
Yes, and if I would love to read all of them. So for Angela Wright and for Lorena Ellis, your certificate reads, Azusa Unified School District Certificate of Recognition is proudly presented to each of you for serving as a California Policy Fellow and advocating for emerging bilingual students. And for Lene Harper Jimenez, Azusa Unified School District Certificate of Recognition is proudly presented to you for serving as a Los Angeles Emergent Bilingual Change Agent and advocating for newcomer international students. All of your certificates are signed by Superintendent Ortega and Board President Rodriguez Peña. Congratulations.
Now we can take our photo.
Board President, if I may put an exclamation point on this, and I think Dr. Fairley kind of highlighted this a little bit, that what an honor, right? When you think about the entire state of California, this is not a position that goes to hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people. So when you think about the fact that it's a short number of individuals that get selected for this, and then layer on top of that we have 3 in Azusa, I think we should be tremendously proud of not only their individual work, but the work that reverberates across the district in our community, and putting Azusa as a beacon to lead this work, I think goes a long way.
Well, thank you for putting us on the map, because when I go to my conferences, I say I'm from Azusa, and they're like, where's Azusa? Right? So thank you. Okay, moving forward, we're on 7.0, items from the floor, public comment on agenda or non-agenda items. This is an opportunity for the public to address the Board of Education on agenda or non-agenda items. Individual speakers will be allowed to speak up to 3 minutes to address the board on any agenda or non-agenda items. If you are on Zoom, please raise your hand. The Board of Education members are not permitted to respond to the public comments. Do we have any cards? Lika, do we have any cards? Or anyone online, I should say?
We have no hands raised on Zoom.
Thank you. Moving on to comments and reports and requests by the Board of Education. I will start with Mr. Griot to my right.
Well, good evening, everyone. Just a couple of comments and thank yous to some of my colleagues. First, just want to say thank you to Dr. Bo and for your leadership over the course of this past year. It is not an easy task to chair these meetings, and so just thank you for not only your willingness, but the ways in which you led the board over the course of this past year. And so hopefully off on the side, you can take slightly a bit more of a breather than normal. And then followed up with just a thank you to our current president, board member Rodriguez Peña. Thank you for your willingness to step in, and that seat looks nice on you. I'll just say.
Thank you. Board Member Benavides?
Yes, good evening, everyone. I would also like to thank Board Member Sabrina Bowe for serving as president this past year. It was my first year. I think that, it is a big job to be the board president, to move the agenda along. And there have been a lot of ticket items on the agenda, so some big ones, but I appreciate all the hard work that you did. And I also want to congratulate board member or president
You call me Yolanda, it's okay.
Peña for serving as president this new year, and I really look forward to working together. And I also want to thank all my other colleagues as well.
Thank you. Board Member? Yes, Ms. Bell.
Thank you to my colleagues for the opportunity to serve and to work together. I think we've accomplished many hard tasks over the past 12 months and certainly over the past 24 and 36. I appreciate the time that we're going to spend together for the remainder of this school year and beyond. Just a little bit of update. I'm so grateful to have had the opportunity to attend the California School Board Members Association conference along with a couple of my colleagues here. While it was hard to be away from family for a few extended days, it's always a pleasure to meet other colleagues from school districts across the state to share best practices and to also take every opportunity to brag about Azusa Unified School District. So thank you so much for district staff for making all the travel arrangements and making that opportunity possible for board members. So thank you very much.
Good evening, everybody. I am so grateful to be here today as we are looking forward, as we are looking forward to the next 2 weeks, which Christmas vacation will come around, and we are with our loved ones through Christmas and New Year's. One of these things here, I remember to be grateful for your family or your friends that are in your life. A lot of people right now that are experiencing homelessness do not have the same opportunities that we do. So with that being said, I know that you guys are teachers. I know that you guys are preparing in middle school and high school for your finals, and the students are a little stressed about that. But I just know that they're ready for Christmas. But they're grateful to be in your class, and they're grateful to be done with half of the year, from what I've heard. I do want to also share that I was able to go to CSBA as well. I went to workshops that spoke on federal budget, I went to another one with LCAP, and they were very, very informative. And being able to have that opportunity to learn as a school board member is beyond, what my expectations are. I did get a chance. I was very fortunate to have an audience, a meeting with Mr. Tony Thurman. And I do want to let you guys know that I advocated for all, but especially for one of the things that we are underfunded, which is special education, mental health, and other things as well as physical education, and how that contributes to, our students and their well-being. So a lot more was discussed, but I do want to let you know I'm an active champion, making sure that we, as Azusa Unified School District, that not only are we on the map, not only are we learning, but that our superintendent of education at the state level understands what our needs are in the classroom, in the playground, for CSEA, AEA, as a parent, and I can speak in all levels, as a former student, a former employee, a parent, and now a school board member. And I thank you from the bottom of my heart for this opportunity to advocate and be a representative. Thank you so much.
So the hardest part of this job is I have to go live. So I just, I went to the Champ College and mighty proud. I want to congratulate all the fourth graders from Murray and Paramount Elementary on their graduation. I'm always so proud to hear the students when they're speaking. And I mean, they're fourth graders. And when they ask, they have one from each school that has, what do they want to be in their future? They've already have plans already. I am so impressed with these students. And I really enjoy hearing their speeches. They are so articulate. Azusa High, Mr. Haig just left, but I wanted to thank him. I went to Mr. Haig's CTE media class. I did a podcast. They called me and said, would you like to come and do a podcast in my class? Well, I didn't know what a podcast is. I really don't. I'm not kidding you. I'm like, okay. So I just went there. And some young ladies, they interviewed me and they were so articulate. I was so impressed with them, and the questions were kind of like, why did you become a school board member? What are your challenges? And what makes me proud to be a school board member? And these are the questions they're asking. I mean, honestly, they were asking questions. I thought they were just asking questions, but I didn't realize we were like in a conversation. I guess that's what a podcast is. But I got it as I was. I'm like, okay. I kind of, start talking to them, and then I kind of thought, I guess I'm supposed to ask them questions. And the equipment is beautiful in there. I'm like, oh my gosh, they have like several classrooms in there. I was very impressed and proud to be there. And I wanted to thank Mr. Haig, but of course he left already. And I was honored to attend the Association of California School Regional 15, the luncheon to Andrea from Azusa High was receiving the Every Student Succeed Award. And we are so proud of her. I attended the annual Jim Ross Veterans Thanksgiving Luncheon, which is held every year at the VFW right there on First Grade. And what they serve the servicemen and women veterans from the hospitals. They bring them in every year, and they serve them a Thanksgiving dinner. And we had this nice young lady, Isabel from Gladstone Middle School. We were trying to find someone to do the national anthem. I said, Yolanda, can you find someone that's doing the national anthem? And she said, I can do it in my violin because I have a sore throat. And I'm like, sure. So she came and she did such a beautiful job. There was not a dry eye in that room, including myself. She did so beautiful. So we have many talented students here at Azusa Unified School District. I went to Gladstone Middle School, their winter program, the beginning, the intermediate, and jazz band. All the students did a great job. And also our new band instructors, I never seen them in action, and they're doing a great job. I also went to the CSVA conference. I attended several workshops. I attended the president's workshop, so I can learn the new policies and the changes that are going on in the new board president handbook. So I hope I can do a good job sitting here. I need to know what I'm doing and what I'm saying, but there is new policies, and I have not been the board president since 2015, so there was many changes. I also had, how has our students' behavior changed post-pandemic? That was a class I took. Statistically, the California data, the rates in 2021, it was 0 point on suspension rates. 21-22, 6.5, big difference. And they had different statistics on things, how they've changed since the pandemic and how our students have suffered through the pandemic and what they had to go through to be able to, and I feel for the teachers too, because you had to learn how to teach from a TV screen and then come back and do it the same. And it was very hard for students to learn. We want to know, the questions kind of were very important with, what proactive measures has our district implemented to address potential behavioral issues, promoting positive school environment for our students that have come back, because it was a shock to them, just like it was a shock to us. So for us to all get together and collaborate, also with teachers, also with the parents and the stakeholders, I feel for you. And I know how hard it was, and it was also hard for us being home. And it's like a dream. What happened in those 2 years? It was like a dream. And my kids, and we talk about it all the time. You know what? We used to wear a mask. I said, you can tell your kids that. But in an I know it was a struggle, but we did it. And here we are together, seeing each other face to face. And that's what thank you. Let me find my place. Where am I at? Oh, okay, so we have 8.1. We have comments and reports and requests from our student board member.
Sorry. Good evening, everyone. Azusa High School Community Schools is conducting its Community School Assets and Needs Survey through December 22nd, 2023. We hope that all parents, students, and staff can help us understand the ways in which we can grow as a school community. Mr. Fernandez would like to thank the parents who helped host tables during the Loteria night. Additionally, I am proud to announce that Student Union is implementing a new wave of international circles to break language barriers that may keep students from building community at Azusa. Student leaders who are bilingual are facilitating circles in English learner classrooms with questions that are now being made by a circle creation team. This creation team consists of 4 students, and they are making questions every other week that are sent out school-wide. Azusa High School Career Pathway students participated in the ASVAB test on December 1st. Students did very well, and AHS engineering students attended a California high-speed rail trip December 7th through 8th at Fresno State. Students had the opportunity to tour programs and the state high-speed rail project. We are proud of our engineering students who are learning how their pathways relate to real life. Azusa High's early college program students finished their first semesters and are taking a well-deserved break before the second semester starts. And Azusa High School athletics are off to a solid start in a preseason play. Azusa's boys soccer team is competing against talented high school programs. Azusa's girls soccer team has a solid pre-league record of 6-1. Azusa boys basketball has solid wins, and Azusa girls basketball has a winning record at the moment as well. Azusa High's music program has 2 upcoming holiday events that are free to the community. On December 13th at 6:30 p.m., the Mocha program and Azusa Mariachi will host a concert at Azusa East. The Azusa Band and Color Guard will also host a holiday concert on December 20th, 2023 at 6:30 p.m. at the Azusa High School gym. And finally, Azusa ASB is hosting a holiday party on December 19th with Longfellow preschool students at 9 a.m. at the Azusa gym. We expect a Santa sighting and lots of holiday cheer. Spirit Week events for the week of December 18th include Flannel Day, Christmas gear, Christmas sweater, and pajama days. We also want to thank ASB for the cheer they are spreading to classified employees during the holidays. Thank you.
Mariah Santos from Sierra High School.
Good evening, board members, Superintendent Ortega, and Cabinet. As always, it is a pleasure to be here representing Sierra High School. Since the last meeting, we had our first trimester award ceremony where students were honored for their accomplishments in their classes for their citizenship, attendance, and GPA. 2 students, 1 junior and 1 senior, were recognized as students of the trimester. I am proud to share that I was selected as the senior of the trimester. I really appreciate being able to be recognized for my accomplishments. The day before the trimester awards ceremony was our model continuation high school visit, where the visiting team came to Sierra to determine whether we should be recommended to the state as a model continuation high school. I am happy to have gotten the chance to speak to 2 of the people visiting our school with my leadership class. I am thrilled to report that the visiting team was very impressed with our school and programs and is recommending Sierra to the state of California as a model continuation high school. As a student, I know how special Sierra is, but it's very nice to have an outside team come in and quickly recognize what an amazing place it is too. One of the many programs that make Sierra stand out in our sports is our sports programs. We just kicked off our soccer season last week with an 11-1 win over Doug Sears Learning Center. We look forward to another away game later this month and a home game after the new year on January 17th. At Sierra, we have had an increased opportunity to explore our lives after high school. We discuss it in and outside of our classes, and Citrus College is coming back to Sierra again this Wednesday during lunch to discuss concurrent enrollment opportunities. I'm excited at the idea of being able to take a college class or two before I even graduate from high school. It is opportunities like sports, AP classes, concurrent enrollments, and more that make Sierra a model continuation high school. I am proud to represent my school. Thank you, and go Spartans.
Board President.
Sorry.
So I'd like to, first and foremost, congratulate all the students, for the art contest. What an awesome opportunity to put to test your skills in a real life, application and experience. So, thank you for the Ed Services team for putting on that contest, and for the students. Congratulations. Again, congratulations to our three teachers, representing, the state of California. I happen to know all three, and they are, excellent, teachers, to represent us here in California. Want to announce that we had our parent and superintendent roundtable. I just want to be thankful, to the parents who, come to engage in those meetings. We were able to provide a full hour of questions, comments, concerns, or feedback. And I just want to, make note that in both the English parent roundtable and in the Spanish roundtable, a theme that we heard, was a theme of being grateful and thankful that, they are members of a district that listen to voices, but more importantly, take action. And so they had really specific things that they said, look, we talked about this, and then boom, it got done, and something happened. And so, I just want to say that that's a kudos, to the district, to the entire staff, that we got those accolades. Also wanted to, thank, Ms. Adriana Garcia Medina, for, running, Student Advisory Council. I try to say it as much as possible that if you ever want to be reminded of why we do what we do, spend some time, in that room. We, Latasha and I were able to go and crash the party for a little bit, give some updates about the board, about the district, and take some questions, from the students, and just always uber impressed at, the level, the quality, the inquiry, that our students bring to the table. And so, thank you to the students, for the representation. And again, thank you, Ms. Garcia Medina, for doing that. And then finally, congratulations to all of the board members and all of your new seats. Thank you.
I too would like to echo the congratulations to our student art contest winners, and also thank Ms. Wright, Ms. Ellis, and Ms. Jimenez for their advocacy and leadership on behalf of our emergent bilingual students. Also want to congratulate our fourth grade champ graduates from Murray and Paramount and Azusa High School on a successful and fun family loteria night. They had a great turnout. On December 19th, we will be honoring our participants who completed our CABE Project to Inspire program. So we're looking forward to celebrating parents and staff who completed that course.
Good evening, all. Only three major updates. One, we successfully made our connection for Lee Underground Utilities to the city's main line. So our next phase is to actually complete the testing, and upon completing the testing for safe water levels, then we will have safe water at Lee. Now, that is not stating that our water currently is not safe, but until we officially have our test results, we will continue to provide Lee elementary students and faculty with water bottles. Additionally, we continue to make waves with our scratch cooking. So this month we started our enchiladas from scratch. And so that's been a huge success, and we will continue to add to our menu as we go on through the school year. And then lastly, last fiscal year, we applied for the COPS grant, which was a security initiative grant, and we found out last month that we were awarded. So we will be receiving $500,000 to help the district with our continued security efforts. Thank you.
And good evening. I'm happy to report that I continue visiting our school campuses to observe instruction and support our administrators with any HR related questions that they may have while I'm there. I also would like to recognize the HR team who have been working to prepare for this year's Classified Employee of the Year event. As a district, we kick off the of the year event with at our next regular Board of Education meeting on January 9th. At that meeting, the site and department classified employees of the year will be presented and honored by their site administrators or department administrators. And similar to last year, we will kick off that event with the reception at 6 p.m. This is a special, this was a board meeting that we will have at the Sierra High School multi-purpose room, and I look forward to seeing everyone there. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. And now we're moving on to item 10.0, consent calendar actions. 10.1, approval of consent calendar agenda. Now moving on to item, all matters listed under the consent calendars are considered by the Board of Education to be routine and will be enacted in one motion. There will be no discussion of these items unless requested by the Board of Education member. If a Board of Education member requests discussion, that item will be removed from the consent calendar and considered separately. Can I have a motion?
Motion to approve consent agenda 10.1 through 10.11.
I'd actually like to pull one, 10.5.
After the second. So discussions after the second, right? So
Motion by Board Vice President Arianes. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Clerk. Benavides. Any discussion?
Yeah, I'd like to pull 10.5.
10.5.
Board President, if the person who made the motion, if they are willing to amend their motion to approve the consent calendar with 10.5 being pulled.
I would like to amend my motion and I would like to approve the consent agenda 10.1 through 10.11 and 10.5 being pulled from the consent calendar at this time.
Motion by Board Member Arianes. Second.
Second.
Second by Board Member Benavides.
Call for a vote.
Okay, we'll call for a vote for the items other than 10.5. Motion passes 5-0. Ten point five becomes 11.1. Any discussion?
Board President, you can ask for a motion, a second, and then discussion.
Okay, thank you. Do we have a motion on 12.1? Oh. No, where's, okay. Motion on 11.1. Do I have a motion?
Motion for 11.1, approval of Board of Education meeting calendar for 2024-2025.
Motion by Vice President Arianes. Do I have a second?
Second,
Point of order. Are we going back to 10.5?
No, we're on 11.1. The motion that Mr. Board Member Greer
So I'm
wants to
sorry.
discuss.
Yes, but was it that or was it the resolution for signatures?
10.5 is the board meeting calendar.
It's a calendar.
Okay, my mistake.
And actually,
Discussion, please.
Well, 10.5? Is it item number 26?
It was.
If you're looking at the most current, it probably might look like 10.5 because 10.5 was pulled.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now it turns to 11.1.
Correct.
Yes. Board Member Greer?
and actually, I have to, I need to apologize. Even as I look at the relevance of this, I kind of made a mistake anyway, because this is 24-25 board meeting agenda. And what I was intending to communicate, so that this may not even be relevant. What I was intending to communicate is our an absence that I will have for our next month. We have a governance meeting scheduled, but that's not relevant for this particular item. I'm mistaken as I'm looking at the dates on this calendar. So I don't know. I don't quite know the appropriate course of action because it's not agendized.
Do we have direction? Superintendent Ortega?
Did we get a first and a second already?
Yes, we did.
Okay. I think it's, you're correct. This is for 24, 25. I think that if we take a motion and we vote for it, and maybe before we adjourn, we can just have a conversation about you not being able to make it to the next board meeting.
Okay.
So we have a first and a second. Any discussion? Please vote, please.
Second, Benavides.
You have a hand vote?
I'm ready for the vote.
The screen is blank.
Yeah, one of my screen went down. So,
No, on there, it says.
oh, yours went down too?
Yes, it's blank. Does anyone?
I don't know. Oh, yeah, it's gone. I'm sorry.
There it is.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Motion passes 5-0. Now we're moving on to item 12.0 curriculum and instruction. 12.1 presentation of Azusa Unified School District attendance report. Ms. Camacho?
Good evening, Board President Rodriguez Peña, Board of Education, Superintendent and Cabinet and audience. I would like to introduce our Director of Student Support Services, Mr. Paul Hernandez.
All right. Good evening, President Rodriguez Peña, Board of Education, Superintendent Ortega, and Cabinet. Ed Services is very happy to report and update the board on our attendance support systems, which has a foundational belief in informing and supporting parents and families. So in this particular example here, truancy versus chronic absence, this is very much an example of what has been done in the past with truancy. Truancy is very much a punitive type of system that is very legalistic, involves a district attorney, multiple truancy letters, SART, SARB, and really outlines that, really emphasizes that particular process to the families. So this was what was done with basically pre-pandemic attendance policies. As post-pandemic rolled around, there was a recognition that chronic absenteeism, which was not just an Azusa problem, it was not a state of California issue, but was in fact a national issue, existed. In fact, it was approximately 40% for the nation in 21-22. Chronic absentee or the response to intervention for this particular issue is based on information, support, and outreach with a focus to re-engage students and parents and families to come back to the school. So in this next particular slide, there is a pyramid of interventions, and there's a lot going on here. And there is definitely some overlap in this particular process. So for the foundational supports, which promote positive conditions for learning and universal prevention, some of the things that are being done, first and foremost, is that our sites are creating a welcoming, positive environment for students and families just to be on the particular campus. We have back to school nights. We have activities, school spirits, newsletters, welcome flyers, coffee with the principals, community schools. We also are engaging our community Title I community liaisons at various levels as well. For our tier 2, this is an additional spot for us to re-engage our particular parents. Some of the things we are doing here is we are using our student information system on a regular basis to identify students and potentially families that need support to get back into the classroom. So that's targeted communication, family outreach, attendance letters that are supportive, our district attendance meetings, and something that we are really going head first with is home visits. And finally, for our tier 3, our immersive intervention, that is where we begin to utilize not just home visits, but also SART and SARB practices when these other particular interventions have not been successful. So here in this particular puzzle piece are all the different things that are going on as we engage parents and families. So engage students, recognize good and improved attendance, monitor attendance data practices, provide personalized early outreach, and develop programmatic responses to barriers. So our first one, so this once again goes back to the foundational and the tier 1 and some of the things that we are doing to engage parents and students. Coffee with the principal, DART meetings, our district health program specialist information systems, information sessions. We are also through our home visits, we are actually able to meet with parents, find out that some of the barriers may actually be medical, and we're actually able to then connect parents, families to our district nurses for follow-up to support those parents and students to make sure they're in class when they're dealing with some potentially chronic issues. Holiday letters. We recently sent out 2 rounds of holiday letters for Thanksgiving, and also we have sent them out for Christmas, encouraging attendance. Yes, we understand holidays are important in family time. We definitely agree, but we also want to maintain our focus on instruction. We are using Parent Square on a regular basis for our weekly attendance tips. Those are little things that are sent out through Ed Services, just as little reminders on Monday. Please get to school. School is important. In our next slide, recognizing good and improved attendance. So announcement recognitions, our best class attendance, drawing raffles, free meal certificates, monthly attendance recognition, social media posts, wristbands, other prizes. This also has been a paradigm shift as we have moved away from just the perfect attendance to recognizing improved attendance for students at all levels. Monitoring attendance data. Ed Services is routinely monitoring the data in our ARIES student information system and looking for trends, Mondays, Fridays, Wednesdays, whether or not when students are not coming, what are we seeing? School plans for student achievement metrics and goals are being set by our administration to make sure that there's follow through. Our personalized early outreach, once again, this goes back into that tier 1/tier 2 overlap with our communications, our district meetings, our reminders, and our home visits. To date, so that the board is aware, we have through Ed Services conducted over 207 home visits for our families since September 16th. And here is a graph of attendance that was immediately post-pandemic in 21, 22. You can see that we were approaching 40%. Last year, we were at the state and national level of approximately 32%, a little over 30%. And this particular graph shows us being slightly over 20%. However, before the meeting, we went into our information system and we looked at our chronic absentee data, and we are very happy to report that we are actually at 16.7%. So we have cut in half in 1 year our chronic absenteeism thanks to Team Azusa, everybody involved in this process.
Any questions? My colleagues have any questions for Mr. Hernandez? Yes.
Either from Mr. Hernandez or Ms. Jamal, how much revenue is generated by a 1% increase in attendance?
I would have to get that calculation for you, so I don't just throw out a number.
Thank you.
Do you have a question?
I actually have two questions. You said that we do outreach. What happens after home visits? So you kind of shared that we provide resources. Out of those resources, how many parents actually take the initiative to follow through on that? What is the success rate after that?
So in terms of an actual number, I would have to get back to you on that.
Okay.
Anecdotally, students are returning and parents are reaching out. For example, when we've had parents that say, I cannot have my son or daughter come to school because they're chronically ill, we notify our district nurses. Our district nurses follow up within 24 hours to contact parents.
And are we providing some type of homeschooling or whatnot for that week or?
So, yes, we do offer ISP, short-term ISP as an option so that we can, as one method to get students re-engaged in school.
Great, thank you. The next question that I had is actually a request that I would like to know. When was the last time that we had the school attendance review team meet, and when is the next one?
The school attendance review team was last year, and we have 2 meetings that we are currently setting up for January.
And how often do you guys have these meetings?
Right now, we only have 2 scheduled, and they are back-to-back in January. And we will probably have some more, but our focus is to get the students and the parents back into the classroom in hopefully a non-punitive manner. So that has been our focus for this first semester.
I like your proactiveness. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Any questions?
Yes, I have a few questions. When did you start implementing this methodology of the different like tiers that you have here? Is this something new the district is doing, or?
The district has always been doing home visits. The home visits is nothing new. We've increased the frequency and utilized our Title I community liaisons and our community schools to help increase the number of home visits that we're able to do in a single day. So we're able to send out our foster homeless liaison out and to do 5 or 6 visits every single day. Those home visits are conducted designed in 2 different ways. One with the principals who are identifying students, and the other through our student information system. So we're looking at percentages and making decisions and who we're going to reach out and re-engage.
So at what point, what triggers the home visit, or when is that triggered? What is it? What is it, like several absences or?
Yes. So once again, the home visit, the principal or the attendance clerk at the site will fill out a Google sheet and they will identify students that they want us to visit. And we do that. If we have extra space, then we go into our student information system and identify who those students are based on a percentage.
And then I also wanted to just make a comment that, I mean, I really like a lot of these strategies that are being put in place by the district, and I appreciate everyone's hard work to stay on top of attendance. Thank you.
Board Member Guerrero, any comments? No? I want to thank you, Mr. Hernandez, and your team for seeing this graph, how it's changed tremendously. And I know that we always use the pandemic, but at some point we have to stop that and we need to continue. It's not only about the funding that we get per child, but it's also for that child's education. That's what's really important. That's what they need to know. But I'd like to know if you can just let us know a little bit about, I'm not sure all my colleagues are aware of, what is a SART, a DART, and a SARB? And like 2 minutes, no, I'm kidding.
So in 2 minutes, right? Okay, so DART stands for District Attendance Review Team. So what we do is using our system, we identify students that are less than 10%. And then those students are identified. Then we send out 4 different forms of communication for a DART meeting. In fact, we have a DART meeting on Thursday, one at 11. We have another DART meeting at 2 o'clock, and then we have a virtual at 6 p.m. That meeting is strictly informational, non-punitive. It is meant to inform students what the impact on absences are. So if a student is out one day, how long does it really take for that student to really make up the work and gain the proficiency for missing that one day, let alone maybe 5 or 6? Because unfortunately, students are still getting sick. People still get sick. SART, Student Attendance Review Team, that is done in conjunction with the district attorney and with LACO. And that is, once again, that is the next step in the attendance process, that because of the involvement of the district attorney is viewed in a little bit more of a punitive manner. The SARB is the one School Attendance Review Board that is done in 2 different places, one either at Azusa PD at the headquarters, or it is done in West Covina. That is also done in conjunction with the district attorney, probation, mental health, Department of Mental Health, and parole.
Thank you. You know, I was an attendance technician before I came here in a junior high school. So I do appreciate your time, and I know that we've struggled many with students, but I know that Azusa Unified is working very hard to get our students back in school, and I really appreciate that. Any further questions, my colleagues?
All right.
Thank you, Mr. Hernandez.
Thank you, Board President.
Now we're moving on to item 13.0, general function. Discussion of Board of Education committees for 2024-25. Superintendent Ortega?
Thank you, Board
Bye,
President.
everybody. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Same place, same time.
Thank you, Board President. Item 13.1. If the board members who have been here for a little bit recall, this is an item that was created or requested so that the Board of Education has an opportunity and some space to talk about the committees that we will be appointing tonight, to share maybe some attractions or some interests, or maybe the opposite, like I'm not interested in this. And so the idea is to have a conversation about the committees, get some sense about where folks may land. And so that when we get to 13.2 through 13.10, that pretty much has shaken out and it just becomes a formality moving forward. We did provide for the Board of Education a chart that has a small description about what the committee is, and typically when the meetings are. Some of these entities are beyond us, but we did reach out to them and so try to get a typical sense of when those meetings are and how many. And then we also have a chart that shows where board members have been for the last couple of years and which committees they have served on.
Okay, so I just wanted to say one thing regarding the committees. I asked Superintendent Ortega to put the days and the times. I really personally don't think that we should go on a committee because it's your turn. I think we should go into committees if we can meet these deadline dates and we can meet the days and the times on here. Because sometimes we've had, situations where we do appoint our colleagues and they don't show up, but not that they don't show up, maybe they can't. And I like to go through that process before we select someone, knowing that they are dedicated and they can do that job, because we are actually, serving as the Unified School District in these committees. And, you know, they will like us to be there and to come back and to report when we are in these committees, what was mentioned or what was said, right? So, I'll start with the first one, 13.2, appointment of education. Am I in the right one? Oh, yes, for the,
Board,
yes.
Board President, so are you moving to that item, or are you just, or is this a discussion about that particular?
Well, we're going to have a vote and then we will have a discussion.
So if I can ask, I think the point of this particular item, 13.1, where it's not attached to those next items, is so that we can have a discussion about it, so that we don't have to run into people moving and recommending people for certain slots that they're not. So we can have an open discussion now before moving to the items. And I'd actually want to add some comment within 13.1. To your point around that idea, I need to apologize for the numerous asterisks that I placed next to my my ability to remain on the board. But going back to what I communicated about remaining on, it comes with honestly, candidly, just a limited availability for some of these committees. And so I apologize in advance as we go through some of them, where I may need to decline due to a limited availability.
Thank you. Any other discussion?
I have a question, Board President. At this time, would you like us to both give our preferences either way on serving committees?
Yes, this is the time. This is the time, and then we will place them as we move forward.
So then may I
So,
share my preferences?
Superintendent Ortega, so should I go down the line or should we just have the discussion regarding all of them?
Board President, I think there's probably multiple ways, but I will make two suggestions. One suggestion is that everybody says, oh, I'm interested in this, I'm interested in it. Or you can say, all right, we're not going to item 13.2, but we're going to start with Golden Days Committee. Is anybody interested in that? Okay, all right. Parks and Rec, but you're not going to go to the item for a motion. You're just trying to get a sense in 13.1. So that once we understand where everybody is gonna be placed, or maybe somebody says, I'm interested in two, and then have a conversation about who that should land, I think makes sense.
We'll start with Board Member Bo.
Thank you, Board President. For the upcoming year, I am particularly interested in serving on the Diversity, Equity, Inclusion Committee and or the Wellness Committee.
I'm sorry, what were they? Can't just,
The DEI Committee and or the Wellness Committee.
The DEI and the Wellness. Vice President Arianes?
thank you, Board President. Let me get there real quick. Here we go. I am interested in the ad hoc committee with the city. I just found out that I'm going to have a day off during the week, every 2 weeks, so I'm excited about that. And I would also like to be a part of the LAXTA committee.
So on the LAXTA committee, are you talking about the alternate or because we have two in the LAXTA committee, right?
Right, so I can
So-
be the appointed one.
Appointed one.
Yes.
Board Clerk Benavides?
I'd like to stay on the Parks and Recs Committee. I just think for another year maybe. And then maybe serve on the Golden Days Committee.
Any preference, Mr. Greer?
Yeah, so as I look at them and I was on the the DEI committee. I would be happy to remain on that. Hearing Board Member Bo's request, I'd be happy also to switch over though to wellness and step off of the DEI committee.
Can I ask a clarifying?
Sure.
Did you say you would like to be part of the wellness committee?
So
Yeah.
I'm willing to
Okay.
to move from shift off of the DEI and shift on to wellness.
Okay, so, so my preference is to continue on the ROP board and also the, what was the second one that I wrote on here? Oh, I was interested also in the Golden Days Committee.
If I may point out, right now we have no one for the Los Angeles County Committee on School District Organization. I will point out that there are no meetings for that particular,
That's what I was gonna say. I
that
think-
particular, but we still need somebody to be a voting member of that. That's number one. Number two, I would like to point out that we are also short one person for the city and district ad hoc committee. Only board member Arianes, board vice president Arianes has talked about that.
I'm sorry, I wanted to be added to the ad hoc committee
And
for the city.
didn't we talk about having ex officio board
Yes.
president and board vice president in that role?
Yes.
Okay. We also, we also we also have no one for the CFP ad hoc committee. That is an internal committee. So if there is no interest, I mean, that could move on without anybody, but that is also there. And then those are the quote unquote openings right now.
Can I suggest something? And this is, I'm just going to bring it to one of my colleagues. Since
Yes.
one of my colleagues is new to our board, I feel like the CFP committee would benefit our board member, Benavides. There's a lot of information, that, Ms. Jamal and the superintendent go in depth. And so on facilities, on budget and so forth, what we speak here on the board, and they actually break it down at these meetings. So
I was gonna ask about that meeting. What is it? I mean, can you just give me a little overview? Other than the one thing that it says here?
Yes, it's just an opportunity to meet with board members. Typically, we have two, but I mean, again, that could be one. That's perfectly fine. That one's flexible. Natasha and I can meet whenever, a good time is. And we typically have the opportunity to dive into kind of details, our capital facilities program updates, where we are with things that were on the horizon. And so just a little bit more detail and in depth in terms of our capital facilities program here in Azusa.
And then you meet, what days do you meet? Or it's pretty flexible?
Super flexible, yes.
Okay, that's fine.
I would like to join board member Benavides in that as well. If no one, are you comfortable with that, board member?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Because we learn. Yeah.
That's good.
I also volunteer as tribute for the County Committee on School District Organization.
Board member Greer, can you repeat that one more time, please?
Yes, I put my name forward for the County Committee on School District Organization.
So board president, what I see here is a decision about Golden Days Committee. We have board clerk Benavides, who showed an interest, and board president Yolanda Rodriguez Pena, who showed an interest. And I believe, oh no, and then we have to decide between Dr. Bo and Board Member Greer, which one's gonna go to DEI and which one's gonna go to wellness.
You can have golden days for a meal at Clandestinos.
Thank you. I owe you, girl.
And Dr. Bro, I'll defer to your preference as far as either of those two.
Is it codified in our bylaws whether or not we have one or two members on either of these committees?
It is not, so that is
So
another,
we can
that is
have an
another route.
alternate.
We can have an alternate, we can have
Yeah.
both.
Would you prefer to be on both of those committees? Was it an or an and?
And or?
Because if you're an and, then I'm also willing to just be on the county committee of school district organization and would be happy for you to sit on both of those other committees.
That works for me? That works for you?
That works for me.
Thank you.
Are we good, Superintendent Ortega?
Yep, just I'll run this down for all of us before we move over, just to make sure that I have this correct.
So then we need to vote on each one of them once we,
Eventually, we will.
I mean, yeah, eventually, okay.
Eventually, you'll have to go by each one, get a first, get a second, and also vote.
Okay.
But this is what I have, what I jotted down. Golden Days Committee, Board President Rodriguez Peña. Parks and Rec Commission, Board Clerk Benavides. Los Angeles County Committee on School District Organization, Board Member Greer. ROP, Board President Yolanda Rodriguez Peña. LAXTA, Board Vice President Arellanes. City Ad Hoc, Board President Rodriguez.
Can I'm sorry, so on the LAXTA, don't they need an alternate also?
We have put an alternate. I'm not sure if it's a requirement, so we could have an alternate if we want to put an alternate.
I vote Board Member Greer.
I accept.
Okay, okay, so LAXTA would be Board Vice President Arianes, Board Member Greer as an alternate. City Ad Hoc would be Board President Rodriguez Peña and Board Vice President Arellanes. Capital Facilities Program will be Board Vice President Arellanes and Board Clerk Benavides. DEI would be Dr. Bo, and 1310 would be Dr. Bo.
What was the last one, please?
Wellness would be
Oh,
Dr. Bo.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so we're moving forward to item 13.1. We were there, I'm sorry. 13.2, appointment of Board of Education member representative to represent Azusa Golden Days. Can I have a motion?
I move to appoint Board President Rodriguez Peña.
Second,
Second,
any discussion?
I have a quick question, Board President. We have a board member that stepped out for a quick second.
Sure.
Should we continue?
I'm comfortable. I would be comfortable continuing because we just had the
We just had
discussion. so-
Discuss. She had her opportunity to discuss.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Just wanted to clarify so she doesn't get left out.
Yeah. No, that's fine. So, I was gonna say student board president, but she left me already. Okay. Place your vote. Place your vote, please. Motion passes 4, and here she comes. We're moving on to 13.3, appointment of Board of Education member to represent Azusa Park and Recreation Commission. Can I have a motion?
I motion 13.3 for Board Member Senator
Mo-
Benavides.
Motion by Vice President Arianes. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Board Member Bo. Any discussion? Place your vote, please. Now we're moving on to 13.4, appointment of Board of Education member representative and alternate to the Los Angeles County Committee on School District Organizations. Can I have a motion?
Motion to approve 13.3, Board Member Greer.
Board Vice President, that's a 13.4.
We're in 13.4, excuse me.
Oh, we're in.
Yeah, 13.4.
I move to appoint Board Vice President Arianes as the LACSTA representative and Board Member Greer as the LACSTA alternate.
Do you have a second?
Second.
Clarification, we are on 13.4.
13.4,
Yes.
the Los Angeles County of School District Organization.
I move to appoint myself on 13.4.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion by Board Member Greer, second by Vice President Arianes. Place your vote, please. I'm passing discussion because we did have a discussion on these items prior. Motion passes 5-0. Moving on to appointment of Board of Education member to represent the Joint Board of Management of the San Gabriel Valley ROP. Can I have a motion?
I move to approve Board President Rodriguez Peña.
Second.
First by Board Member Greer, second by Vice President Arianes. Place your vote, please. Motion passes 5-0. We're on item 13.6, appointment of Board of Education member to represent an alternate to the Los Angeles County. This is LACSTA, School Trustee Association. Can I have a motion?
I make a motion to appoint Board Vice President Gabriel Arianes as the LACSTA representative and Board Member Adrian Greer as the LACSTA alternate.
Motion by Board Member Bo. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Board Member Benavides. Place your vote, please. Motion passes 5-0. Appoint 2 Board of Education members to represent Azusa Action. Is this right, Mr. Ortega? Action Unified School Districts City Ad Hoc Committee. I think there's okay. Anyways, for the Ad Hoc Committee for the City of Azusa and Azusa Unified School District.
Move
Do I have a
to
motion?
move to appoint Board President Rodriguez Peña and Board Vice President Arianes.
Motion by Board Member Greer. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second.
Second by
Board Member Bo. Place your vote, please. Motion passes 5-0. We're on 13.8, appointment of 2 Board of Education members to represent the Capital Facilities Program Ad Hoc Committee. Do I have a motion?
Move to appoint Board Vice President Arianes and Board Clerk Benavides.
Motion by Board Member Greer. Do I have a second? Second by Board Clerk Benavides. Place your vote, please. Motion passes 5-0. 13.9, appointment of Board of Education member to represent the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve for the DEI for Board Member Bo to be in this committee.
Motion by Vice President Arianes, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Board Member Greer. Place your vote, please. Motion passes 5-0. We're on 13.10, appointment of Board of Education member to represent the Wellness Committee. Can I have a motion?
Motion to approve 3410 for Board Member Bo to be in this committee.
Second.
Motion by Board Member Arianes, second by Board Member Greer. Place your vote, please. Motion passes 5-0. So, can I just ask a question, Superintendent? So I thought in the DEI that Mr. Greer, was he going to be an alternate? Did we decide that or not? Just,
When we discussed it, and that was asked, can there be multiple or do we need an alternate? I said, I'm happy to not if Board Member Bo is desiring to be on both, and she said she was, so.
okay, that's fine. Thank you. Thank you for the clarification. We're moving on to 14.0, Business and Finance. 14.1, approval of Azusa Unified School District, AUSD 2023-24. Mr. Mall, you're on.
Thank you. Good evening, Board President Rodriguez Pena, members of Board of Education, and fellow members of Cabinet, and the AUSD staff and community members. Tonight, I am happy and proud to present to you the first interim report for the 23-24 fiscal year. I would like to thank the Business Service Department leads and all their hard work and commitment to the preparation of this report that will be presented tonight. So here we're discussing the first interim report. This is required by the two educational codes presented before you. Educational Code 42130 requires that we present to the Board of Education the first interim as well as the second interim, with the first interim being effective of a financial update as of October 31st. We're going to go over the budget assumptions that were utilized for this first interim report. So first, I'm going to go over our budget cycle. So here, we're here for the first interim. We will be back before the Board of Education in March for the second interim. And then we have the complete entire cycle where we discuss the LCAP, the May revision, and then we'll be presenting the adopted budget for the 24-25 fiscal year in the month of June. So let's talk about first interim. So here is our budget assumptions. There's not much change, but the significant change is right now the projected change in COLA for the 24-25 fiscal year. So prior for the adopted budget, we utilized the assumptions of 8.22% COLA, which that will materialize for this current fiscal year. But we drafted the multi-year projection with the COLA of 3.94%. We were informed on November 16th that the projected COLA is to drop down to 1%. We're hoping that doesn't materialize, but the LA County Office of Education did encourage all LEAs to include the lower projected COLA in the first interim report for multi-year projections. And with this projected COLA, that's a loss in revenue of $2.3 million if this materializes for the upcoming school year. Any questions here? So here is our projected enrollment. We're still utilizing projections as we're waiting on our certified CalPAD numbers. Right now, we are projected to have an enrollment for this current fiscal year of 6,512. That's 6,512 students. We continue to utilize a ADA rate of 90%. We did realize a drop in ADA last year, but we're happy that our attendance rates have increased. So we're hoping by second interim, we'll be able to go back close to our norm of a 95% ADA rate. Now for our revenues. Our largest revenue source comes from the state through our LCFF funding. So we're projected for this fiscal year to receive $106 million. That is broken up into several buckets, which is based off our ADA over the last 3 years. We have our base grant, our supplemental concentration, grade span grant, as well as our TK add-on, as well as our transportation add-on. Here we're just showing our revenues, the change from adopted budget from first interim. So at adopted budget, we projected to have $166.4 million. Now we're projecting $169.7 million. That change in revenue is primarily due to our federal funding. Our federal dollars that we receive, we can only account for them when we actually spend them. So we've received our COVID dollars during the 21-22 fiscal year, but until we actually spend those funds, you cannot account for the revenue. So this year, we're projected to spend an additional $2.7 million in our COVID funds. That's primarily due to our ESSER 3 funds for our HVAC project. Any questions here?
Member Bull. Thank you. Mr. Jamal, when do we expect to fully expend all of the COVID and ESSER one-time monies? In which fiscal year?
Yeah, actually, the last date that we could spend our COVID funds are September 30th of 2024.
Oh, wow. Thank you.
You're welcome. And here's just showing the same information, but in a graph form. So 62% of our revenue comes from our LCFF dollars, followed, not closely, but followed by our federal dollars of 19.6%, our state revenues of 11.9%, and our local revenues of 5.9%. Now we're going to go to our expenditures. So again, keeping the same pattern of comparing our adopted budget to our first interim. So we projected to spend $167.7 million, and now we're projected to spend $177.4 million. The change in expenditures is primarily due to the gracious Board of Education raises that were previously approved for AEA, and those that are on the agenda tonight are already in our assumptions for our first interim report. And here is just showing a chart of those same funding. So 29% of our expenditures are tied to our certificated staff, with 11% being tied to our classified staff and 17% to our benefits. We have 20% in both our books and supplies and other services and contract. And again, that is primarily, the 20% is made up of us are spending our one-time dollars for additional supplies and contracted services. We have capital outlay, which are expenditures, anything over $5,000. That's $781,000, and then transfers and other algo is $3.7 million. Any questions here? Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry.
Board Member Bull. Hi, one more question.
Sure.
On this item. You've shared that the multi-year projection is going to be at maybe a 1% COLA for the next couple of years. As we look at salaries expenditures for multi-year projection, what increase in salaries, if any, are we assuming or incorporating into the multi-year projection for salaries?
So typically what we have done, we have not projected any increase in salaries in our multi-year. We do always calculate a cost of a 1% that we always have in our financials, but we only project out increases once we have authorization for the Board of Education.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And then just a question, you had talked about, if you look at the previous slide, it better illustrates my question. So you had cited salaries as a significant change, but I see that, I mean, that only accounts for a certain amount. I'm seeing actually a tremendous amount increase in expenditures for services. See books and supplies, I feel like you spoke to that. Is services the same thing with one-time dollars that we're spending money on?
Yes, and so yes, short answer, yes. We have received additional funding for our special education grant for to offset expenditures, and so that accounts for the spending of those dollars. For both books and supplies and services, since they're utilizing our one-time funds, right now we have a plan to spend them, but if those expenditures do not materialize, they'll fall to the fund balance and carry over to the next year.
But would have to be spent by by September of this
Next
upcoming year.
September. Yes, yes, sir. And can you give us an example of what services are?
Yes, so services will be legal services, contract services, meaning if we have like LA County Office of Education providing services for any of our students, any services, our HVAC project, that would be considered service. That's a contract services where we have someone else performing a service for us.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any further? Oh, you're still going.
All right, so we're going to go to our multi-year projections. So with this, this is still showing we are meeting our 3% reserve, but we are continuing to show that we are deficit spending, but we have what we call a structural deficit spending, meaning that as long as we have funds carried over from the previous school year and we're spending them, they will always show as a deficit. Because to identify a surplus, that means you're only spending the revenues that you received this year and not your carryover funds. So as long as the LEA has carryover funds and you have planned expenditures for those, you will always show a deficit, and we call that a structural deficit. But even with the projected loss in COLA, we still show that we are able to meet our 3% reserve. In the current year and the 2 subsequent year, we continue to show a strong ending fund balance, but that's because we still have one-time funds that are projected to carry over. And you'll see our ending fund balance is projected at this year at $58 million and $46 million in 24-25 and 35.4. Again, this is primarily due to restricted funds. So it shows this is a combination of unrestricted and restricted, but as soon as our COVID funds, our one-time funds are depleted, then we'll start showing what I will say a normal ending fund balance.
Question, Mr. Graham?
Yeah, so if I look out to 25-26, just for the purpose of math, I can see that the 3% reserve is 4.3 million. I see the ending fund balance is 35.5 million. Restricted is 30 million. So using rough math, I can subtract the restricted and I can give us the actual ending fund balance without monies that are already earmarked or allocated or for certain purposes, and see that we're at about $5 or so million. So we are just above the 3%.
Yes, sir.
Any further questions?
All right, and so this is just to show our components of any fund balance. So this is for unrestricted. So we have our 3% reserve, which primarily makes up for our 23% of our any fund balance. We do have our prior carryover funds, which are committed, and that is due to us having a lot of one-time funds. So plans that we have in our LCAP has been able to be offset by some of our COVID expenditures. We also have our prepaid and our revolving fund cash. And
I'm sorry, back to that one.
yes,
So on the
ma'am.
3% reserve, we just have just 3% at this time, or is it?
No, we have more than a
More than
3%.
that?
Yes.
So why do we always just put 3%?
That is the amount that we're allowed to set aside for the economic uncertainties. We cannot increase that without the board taking action to actually pass a resolution to say we're going to assign more to the reserve.
Oh, okay, yeah, because I question that, because I think we should know if it's 3%, but it doesn't really tell you. I mean, we might have 10%, we might have 15%, right?
Yes.
But I guess I'll talk to my colleagues, maybe we'll talk about that later, but I just wonder why you kept putting 3%.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And here is our components of any fund balance for our restricted. So we have our expanded learning grant. We also have our community schools grant. This gives us the breakdown of all of our restricted programs that we have carryover funds that are currently not in our spending plan for this current fiscal year. So those funds will continue to be assigned and carried over until we have appropriate expenditures set aside for them. Any questions here?
But these dollars do not, or let me phrase it differently. As I look at this slide, this includes dollars that are not needing to be spent by September 24.
Correct.
So
some of these do have to be
but
spent,
some do not.
but like our community schools grant, we have 5 years to spend those. Okay. And with that, it is recommended that the Board of Education approve our first interim with a positive certification showing that we meet our current and our 2 subsequent year financial obligations.
Any further questions? Can I get a motion?
Motion to approve 14.1, approval of Azusa Unified School District 2023-2024 first interim financial report.
Motion by Board Member Arianes. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Board Member Greer. Any discussion? Seeing none, place your votes, please. Motion passes 5-0. Moving on to item 15.0, Human Resources. Approval of tentative agreement between the Azusa Unified School District and the California Schools Employees Association, CSCA. Can I have a motion?
Motion to approve 15.1, approval of tentative agreement between Azusa Unified School District and California Schools Employees Association, CSCA.
Motion by Board Member Arianes. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Board Member Guerrero. Any discussions? Seeing none, place your vote, please. Oh, we're still on the. Oh, sorry. Roll call vote.
Yes.
Board Member Arianes, Benavides,
Yes.
Board Member Bro,
Yes.
Board Member Arianes.
Yes.
And myself, yes. Motion passes 5-0. Moving on to 15.2, approval and tentative agreement between the Azusa Unified School District and the Azusa Federation Adult Education. Can I get a motion?
Motion to approve 15.2.
Motion
Second.
by Board Member Benavides. Second by Board Member Greer. Any discussion? Seeing none, place your vote, please. Hand vote, please. Board Member Greer,
Yes.
Board Member
Yes.
Benavides, Board Member Bo,
Yes.
Board Member Arianes.
Yes.
And I'm a yes. 5-0. Moving on to item 13.3, approval of minimum wage compensation increase. Can I have a motion?
I move to approve 15.3.
Make a motion,
And second.
motion by Board Member Bo, second by Board Member Greer. Any discussion? Seeing none, we'll have a hand vote. Board Member Greer,
Yes.
Board Member Benavides,
Yes.
Board Member Bo,
Yes.
Board Member Arianes,
Yes.
and yes for myself. 5-0. Motion passes. Item 15.4, approval compensation increase of management supervisory, confidential, and unrepresented employees. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve 15.4.
Second.
Motion by Board Member Arianes, second by Board Member Greer. Any discussion? Seeing none, we'll have a hand vote. Board Member Greer,
Yes.
Board Member Benavides,
Yes.
Board Member Bo,
Yes.
Board Member Arianes.
Yes.
And myself, yes, motion passes 5-0. We are now come to item 15.5 through 15.8 on the agenda. Prior to make a final action on an employee agreement, the Brown Act requires the governing board to orally report a summary of a recommendation for the salary schedule, or compensation paid in the form of fringe benefits for the local agencies executives. The superintendent, assistant superintendent of business, assistant superintendent of educational services, and assistant superintendent of human resources are all local agencies executives. And a proposed contract amends for each of them is before us this evening. 15.5, approval amendment of employment contract of superintendent. The amendment to superintendent contract increases the superintendent's base salary to $280,818 and the district's contribution to his health and welfare benefits by $1,500 effective July 1st, 2023. The salary and benefit increases consistent with that approval for the district's certificated management and represented certificated employees. There are no other changes to the superintendent's contract. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve 15.5.
Motion by Board Member Arianes. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Board Member Greer. Any discussion? Seeing none, place your vote, please. Motion passes 5-0. Moving on to 15.6, approval amendment employees contract of Assistant Superintendent of Businesses. The amendment is the Assistant Superintendent of Business Services contract increases the Assistant Superintendent's base salaries to $2,012, $758. And the district contribution to her health and welfare benefits by $1,500 effective July 1st, 2023. And give her the option to be reimbursed up to 10 accrued but unused vacation days each year. The salary and the benefits increase is consistent with the approval for the district certificate management and represent certificated employees. There are no other changes to the assistant superintendent's contract. Can I have a motion?
Motion to approve 15.6.
Motion by Board Member Ariana, second by Board Member Greer. Any discussion?
Mr. President, could you just clarify or restate the salary for the assistant superintendent?
$212,758. Right?
Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. I have a first and a second. Any discussion? Place your votes, please. Motion passes 5-0. We're on 15.7, approval amendment employees contract of Assistant Superintendent of Educational Services. The amendment to the Assistant Superintendent of Education Services contract increases the Assistant Superintendent's base salary of $2,012, $758, and the district contribution to her health and welfare benefits of $1,500 effective July 1st, 2023, and gives her the option to be reimbursed for up to 10 accrued but unused vacation days each year. The salary and benefits increase is consistent with the approval for the district's certificated management and represents certificate employees. There are no other changes to the assistant superintendent's contract. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve 15.7.
Second.
Motion by Board Member Ariana, second by Board Member Greer. Any discussions? Seeing none, place your vote. Moving on to 15.8, approval amendment employees contract of Assistant Superintendent of Human Resources. The amendment to Assistant Superintendent of Human Resources contract increases the Assistant Superintendent base salary of $2,200, $758, and the district contribution to the health and welfare benefits by $1,500 effective July 1st, 2023, and gives them the option to be reimbursed up to 10 accrued but unused vacation days each year. The salary and benefits increase is consistent with that approved for the district certificated management and represents certificate employees. There are no other changes to the assistant superintendent's contract. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve 15.8.
Second.
Motion by Board Member Arianes, second by Board Member Greer. Any discussion? Place your vote, please. Motion passes 5-0. We are now on 16.0 policy and bylaws. Items 16.1 through 16.7 are info items. They're updated board policies, exhibits, and administrators regulation brought to us for the first reading. Board members, any questions?
Yeah, I have a request. If we could, I haven't had a chance to thoroughly read through them. Is there any way to move these over to the next meeting?
I need to get approval of my colleagues.
It's a first reading, so there's no vote. So the point, the purpose would be
It's an
just to
info
read it
item.
so that you can read it and then speak to them at the next meeting.
Yeah, it's an information item. It's not a vote item. The first reading is always info only. So you would still be able to read it and then we'll vote on it in our next meeting. So. Right.
That is correct. I'm not sure if Board Clerk Benavides is asking for these to come back again as a first reading. But they-
Yes, I'm asking for them to come back as a first reading at the next board meeting.
I,
just to move them to the next date.
I would like to just clarify and understand where you're coming from. I do understand as a new board member, it's just a lot to read. But I do want to assure you that before we vote on it, we have another discussion. If anything needs to be changed, at that point, we would ask and request our cabinet to go ahead and move forward with that, and we would not vote on that day. That we can go ahead and table at that time. And so I do reassure you that if I would love for superintendent to sit down if needed to kind of break it down because it is a lot to read for somebody who is not used to accustomed to reading the bylaw. I'm sorry, the policies and bylaws.
Yeah, so to clarify that, you still have the opportunity to read it. We're not voting on it today, so you have the opportunity to still read it from now to the next meeting and have any questions for Superintendent Ortega.
Is that possible to make changes at that next reading or?
At the next meeting, if we're following our normal process, all of these policies, regulations, exhibits will be in the consent agenda item as action. So when we get to that portion of the agenda, if there was a request to change a policy, then at that point in time, you would request that that item be pulled. It would move over to 11.1 or whatever number we're at. And then at that point in time, you can say, this is what we're thinking, this is what I was thinking, I was hoping to change this. And the board can consider those changes and we can bring the revised to the following board meeting, which would be in February now.
Okay, that's fine. I'm happy. That's good. That'll work. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So we're moving on to 7.0 adjournment. Can I have a motion?
Second.
But who said it first and who said it second?
I moved.
Okay, by Board Member Grill first, second with Board Member Arianes. Any discussion?
Yeah, actually, I have three things. One, that you seconded even faster than I did. So, and I was moving fast for a couple of those. So kudos there.
And you had something to say to us?
Yeah.
Okay.
I did have one question I didn't ask you. You sorry, regarding the first interim, you had said that there's a 1% that we were asked to allocate for COLA. When will we know? When do we expect to know what that actual number is?
So we are going to the governor's January update, the end of January. But the truth is that until the budget is actually signed, we actually don't know the final, and that won't happen till May, but we'll do our budget assumptions. We'll do second interim based off the January update, and we'll adopt our budget based off the May revise.
Okay. And then thank you. And then the third thing that I had was, sorry, I didn't realize until I was looking at it that I misunderstood the board calendar. Looking ahead, we have a governance meeting that is scheduled for the 23rd, I believe, of January. And I will actually be out of state, and not only out of state, but unavailable over Zoom. And so I want to arranging everyone's schedules, and we have a consultant that's coming in, but also because it's a governance meeting, I'm wanting to make sure that there's an opportunity to discuss that, whether the meeting continues in my absence or whether we reschedule that. I do believe that Superintendent Ortega I didn't double check with you, may have been able to check and see if there's any flexibility with our consultant. I don't know if we heard back.
We have not heard back. We will be meeting with her tomorrow. So that's a subject that it is pretty far in advance, hopefully, but we can broach that conversation with her tomorrow.
So with that, I defer to colleagues as far as what you would prefer.
And if not, Board Member Guerrero, if you have any input, give
Sure.
input or talk to
Yeah.
Mr. Ortega, and we can be sure that you're being heard.
We'll do.
Okay, that's really important. Any further discussion? Our meeting has adjourned at 8:53.